Thanks for joining me. Oh, good. Okay, I'm on YouTube. All my lives are all on YouTube at the same time. So whether or not I'm doing Facebook or Instagram or TikTok, my lives at the same time are always on YouTube. And that's where I save all of my lives too. Um, anyway, okay. So my name's Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. I'm here in Vancouver, BC, but none of my clients are. They're all over the world. Anyway, and if you go in the link or in my description, you'll see my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course, or coaching. So you can check that out if you're interested. Otherwise, let's just get going with your questions. This is where I answer parenting questions. I don't tend to answer them anywhere else. Unless I've got time, like if I'm at the gym between sets, I'll sometimes answer comments. But yeah, this is the only time I really answer parenting questions. So let's get going with your questions, and I'll do my best to answer. I always say it's a good place to be for these lives on Facebook because it's my smallest live. So that means I get to all the questions. Usually I get to all the, not always, but I usually get to all the questions. Instagram's crazy busy on lives. I don't know why. My big audience is TikTok, but Instagram, those lives are really hectic. So I don't get to half the questions there. So, but on here, I usually get to all the questions. So that's why I'm here. Okay, so parenting questions, ask away. I specialize in teenagers, but most people ask me about toddlers. So, but yeah, if you have teenagers, feel free to ask. Okay. Sorry, I just have to check something. Just waiting for your questions. And I'm also just checking something at the same time. Okay. You know who you are. You just sent me a message, but it didn't come up on my email. You're a client. I don't know where it came up. I'm going to be answering all my emails at about 1:30 today. So I try and only answer emails once a day. I don't usually, but I try to answer them once a day, not more. Usually answer them more often. But anyway, so because you just sent me a message, but I don't know where. I haven't seen where it came up. So anyway, I will be answering my emails at about 1:30 today. But yeah, a message just popped up. I never know where they're coming from. I'm just so inept with all this stuff. Okay, do you have any tips for weaning? I have twins. My twin B is very needy while twin A is more self-soothing. Okay, I'm just going to hit the see more button. If we focus, okay. Here's what I did with my daughter. My son weaned himself at 10 months old. My daughter was 14 months old, and she was nowhere near wanting to be weaned, but she was up and running around. I always said, once they're walking, that's it. I'm not going to be breastfeeding anymore. So what I did it when we went away. We were away over the Christmas holiday for about a week, and I made sure that I never sat down, and I wore different clothes. So my boobs were not as accessible, okay? So, and then I just sort of always seemed to be busy. And I kept telling her, no more, there's no more milk in there. And she eventually learned. She didn't cry or anything. I thought she would. But anyway, and then I also got her a new little sippy cup. So it was something to replace the boobs with. But yeah, it's just transition. Everyone wants the transitions to be easy. Transitions are not easy. They're not easy for any of us, like moving house and all that. Transitions are challenging, and they're challenging for children too. You don't want to protect them from the transitions, in that there's nothing you can do anyway. I mean, a lot of parents avoid doing the right thing because they're so afraid of their kids' fits, scenes, and tantrums. If you're afraid of that, then they're in charge. Yeah. Okay. Hi, Lisa. I am. Oh, hi, I am. Hi, I am. You know who I miss? I miss Dot. I haven't seen Dot for a long time in TikTok. Those are the two names I recognize most from TikTok because they're unusual. I'm from TikTok. I finally got my baby shower planned for February. I wish I could invite you. Oh, that's so sweet. I am as a person who turns up on my lives a lot on TikTok. And she's expecting in March. So it's her first baby. So congratulations. Okay. I've got my grandchild due. My granddaughter's due any day now. So I'm just kind of on the edge. Okay. Any advice for helping a toddler settle with a newborn? So no, sorry, no. Not at all. Again, transition thing. You can't prevent the difficulties in transitions. There's not much you can do. A newborn comes into the house, just watch them like a hawk. Do not expect that toddler to understand concussions and hurting, because they're going to think, yeah, that little thing was okay in the hospital, but you mean that's coming home and taking my mommy and daddy away from me? So yeah, it's just a transition time. There's really not much I can help you with that. Yeah, that's one of my most difficult clients to get, is when I get a mom who has a toddler and a newborn and she's going crazy. That's one of my most challenging. It's not. I specialize in teen crisis work. That's not as challenging as a mom with a brand new baby. Often she has postpartum, and she has a toddler, and she's on her own a lot throughout the day. What am I supposed to tell her? Like, it's just going to be rough. It's physically demanding. And the only thing I say that I can is just sleep when they sleep. Let the house fall apart. Don't worry about cooking or housework or anything. Just, yeah, it's just difficult. Okay. Any advice to connect better with 3 5-year-olds and a 2-year-old? 3 5-year-olds and a 2. You get triplets, or 3 5-year-olds and a 2-year-old? So if you got triplets, I've actually worked with triplets. Well, I'm just thrown off by that. They're triplets. I'm curious. Like, are you the mom, or are you a daycare worker? Or, I'm just curious what the relationship. Maybe you could rephrase that and add some more information in there for me, because I don't know. I'm just thinking it. I don't know. Okay, my daughter is 13, real mouthy. I'm working on myself and being a leader. She is shared between her dad's and mine. Mine, and goes back and forth as she pleases along 2 other girl siblings, 12 and 6. How do I get the 13-year-old to fix how she speaks to me and gain that respect from her? How do I fix what I took part in causing? Okay, the only thing you said wrong was how to fix how she speaks. We're not fixing them, because you said you want to gain that respect. Yes, you want to work on your leadership skills. How do I fix what I took part in causing? Yeah, there you go. Because taking responsibility is number one. So you've taken responsibility for her actions, and all you want to do is set yourself up as a leader. Okay, I'm going to read out my top 3. Geez, it's bugging me. One of my clients, a message popped up, and I don't know where that message popped up. That's going to drive me nuts. Anyway, I am answering my emails at 1:30 today. I get to them every day, but just not, I've been busy all morning. So, but anyway, it's bothering me because it's like, was that an emergency? Was that something really important? That's why, but I can't find it. Anyway, okay, let it go, Lisa, let it go. I'm going to read out my top 3 tips for parenting teenagers. This is the best advice I can give you, just general advice for parenting teenagers. There's 3 tips. Number 1 is you listen to understand and show empathy. Don't gather information to lecture with, or they will shut you out. If they want your advice, they'll ask for it, and they already know it anyway. Number 2 is you negotiate pretty much everything with teenagers. Say something like this: I want your dirty clothes in the hamper. What do you want from me in return? So you give to get, right? Is it fair? No, it's not. Raising teenagers is not about fair. It's not. And if you get into right fighting with a teenager, good luck with that. It's never going to work. Number 3 is don't sweat the small stuff. Save your energy for the big stuff, if you even have it, okay? Because you're going to need it. If you do get big stuff with a teenager, you're going to need it. In other words, don't sweat the small stuff. If they make some small mistake or do something stupid, but it's not a huge deal, I would have said to my kids, well, that was stupid. Wait till you hear what I did when I was your age. Like, we're all going to mess up. That's part of life. And just laugh it off and say, well, that's a learning curve, right? It's another opportunity to learn. Every mistake, every failure is an opportunity to learn. I don't happen to have a fear of failures. I used to when I was younger, but I'm in my 60s now. I understand that if I fail at something, it means I'm reaching and I'm getting out of my comfort zone and I'm trying something I'm not good at. So I see that as a positive. So nothing wrong with failing. It's not trying is the problem. I'm the mom. Oh, right. Okay. 3 5-year-old twins were 10 months old when the daughter was born. Oh, I see. Okay. So they're only, oh, I see. Okay. Threw me off. I get thrown off really easily. Okay. I forget what the question was. Oh, how do you bond with them? What do you do with them? I think that was it. Sorry. I'm just trying to find, I can't get that see more button to work. The shooter. Okay. When my daughter was born. So they were only, okay. I also have a 2-year-old and I'm pregnant. Oh my goodness. You're busy. I want to connect with my children as they're lashing out and telling me they hate me. Okay, they're just, I don't want to get into it. There's no point. Anyway, the way that you connect with children, I just did a video on that on TikTok. And it was called, I don't do my other platforms except for lives. I don't know if it's anywhere else, but I know I did it on TikTok because I do TikTok myself. And it's called Children's Love Language. Actually, I cried after I made that. I don't know why. It just because that's what I'm all about. It's how to connect with your kids. Discipline it doesn't mean much to me. It's all about connecting and bonding with them, and then the behavior changes anyway because they feel so valued, they feel so special, and they feel so loved that why would they act out? Why would they be disrespectful? Anyway, check that out. The love language is fun. You enter their world, watch how they play, and then you start doing it with them. So you don't say, hey, let's go to the nail salon and bond. I mean, it's not like that. You always bond in their world, okay? So that's how you connect with them. And you do that with all ages. If you want to get close to anybody, you find out what their interests are, and then you give it a go. Turn up and show interest too. Yeah, with any age. That's why it's so important when you're in a partnership to have similar interests, because how do you bond if you haven't got the same interest? Once all that honeymoon phase is over, how do you bond? Like having something in common helps. I'll tell you a funny story with my parents. They could not have been more different. My mom hated the outdoors, and my dad was a fisherman, a camper, a hunter. He grew up on a farm. And my mom didn't. I mean, they could not have been more different, but they had humor, and they were both really nice people. Like they were just really, and humor was a really important thing. Anyway, this was really cute. It was a really good example of how to make a marriage work. Anyway, so I thought this was so funny. My dad was a bachelor till he was like 35. Anyway, so he said to my mom, he says, well, I don't want to give up hunting and fishing and all that stuff. And she goes, well, you don't have to. My mom knew who she was. She had her own set of friends, and she was a very active person. And so she said to him, of course you don't have to give all that up. So he'd go out fishing on a Sunday morning or a Saturday morning or whatever, or else he'd go camping for a whole weekend, or he used to build sailboats, so he'd be out sailing. So he'd go away quite frequently on these, excursions. But she would cook up a poker game, and she loved playing cards. And he stopped going away because he was always missing out. He had so much fun playing cards. So I thought that was really cute that they had nothing in common, and yet my dad ended up giving up what he loved in the past. But my mom was so busy cooking up all these fun games and games nights, Dad didn't even want to go away anymore. Isn't that cute? But you enter their world. That's how you connect with anybody, is you get into whatever they're enjoying doing, if you can enjoy it too. So watch how your kids play, and then play with them in their world. I kind of went off topic, but it's the same thing. What is your advice for toddler head banging during tantrums? Yeah, they're going to do that. I have a tantrum course if you're interested. Anyway, so what you do is you just physically restrain them, because there's nothing else you can do. You can't reason with a toddler. They're not about therapy sessions. When you discuss all their big feelings and why they shouldn't do that. It goes in one ear and out the other. I don't even think it goes in an ear. It's just whatever. They're not listening to you at all. They're watching you. And they're all about actions, and because they're watching, they learn with their eyes, not with their ears. Geez, I should write that down. Toddlers learn with their eyes, not their ears. Yeah, that's a good one. I'll figure it out. Just a sec. I'm going to write it down and do a video on that. Toddlers learn with their eyes, not their ears. Okay, good one. If I do say so myself. Yeah, I'll do a video on that. I like that one. And that it's interesting because I wrote it down somewhere. I thought it was so interesting. This scientist, or he was a psychiatrist or something, he said something that I've actually always said myself, not that I'm smart like he is, but he said that the first 7 years is when we're formed. I can't find it here. Anyway, he said that, the first 7 years you form through observations. I didn't get the doctor's name, but I think he was talking with Jordan Peterson at the time. They were talking about kids and parenting and how much you can learn from that, because the relationship is just so interesting. And the first 7 years they learn is when they form who they are. Children do. The first 7 years. But he said they don't learn from what you tell them. They learn through observations. They're watching. They're not listening. That's not how they learn and form. They form and learn through watching and actions and all that stuff. So interesting, eh? And I didn't know it was that old, up to 7. I didn't realize that. But that's what they say. I mean, they change their minds sometimes, but it makes sense to me because I've always said they're not listening to you, they're watching you. It's funny because on here it says your name and then it says is watching. That's who's in here. I was just saying they're watching you. Wasn't that funny? Okay. Okay. How can I transition infant to his own bed? He hates it 3 months. He's 3 months. Well, geez. You mean into his crib? So he's sleeping with you and you want him to go into a crib. I just bought for my son and his girlfriend one of those bedside bassinets. Might be too old for that, but that's like it sort of sticks in your bed, like it's sort of all attached. Because they're 3 months old. If you don't want them to go in their own bed, that's a possibility. Otherwise, this is not medical advice. I don't know how sound this is, but this is what I did with my kids. I took off my sweater or something, didn't throw it in the wash, and I wrapped them up in it. So it was my scent, especially because my kids are breastfeeding. So I made sure it, had my scent on it. And I wrapped them up in that. Whatever it was safe to wrap them up in, obviously. But yeah, seemed to help my kids sleep a little bit longer. Does that make any sense? It's just a transition. It's not these transitions. Everyone's trying to avoid the difficulty in transitioning children from one thing to another. It's just difficult. You can't avoid this stuff. It's like tantrums. How do I stop my toddler from having tantrums? They're either born to have them or they're not. One mom said on YouTube, I think she said a comment was, I'm not bragging, but I have 5 kids that never had a tantrum. And I said something like, aren't you lucky? Because they're either born, you just had 5 kids who weren't predisposed to that. Because tantrums, they're either born to have them or they're not. It's never your fault when they start having them, but it's kind of your fault if they're getting older, like 4 and 5 years old, and they're still having them, because you should be able to control it by then. But yeah, not toddlers. They're just nuts. They're going to have them or they're not. There's 4 different things. I'm going to read them out. There's 4 different things that you're either born to do or not. Okay. It's either in you or it isn't. I actually had none of these. My daughter had none of them. My son had tantrums. One of them is tantrums. You're either going to have them or you're not. Another one is climbing. They're either going to be a climber or they're not. My kids could have watched other kids climb till the end of the day. They wouldn't have cared. They just would never have done it. Another one is runners. My kids were both more safety, like they wouldn't have run away from me. But some kids have no fear. They just take off. So far it's tantrums, climbing, running. The other one is aggressiveness. They're either going to hit or they're never going to hit. Doesn't matter if they're hit. Both my kids could have been hit like crazy. They never would have hit back. And same with me. It's in you or it isn't. Okay. You're born that way. Doesn't mean you're going to do it forever. It just means as a toddler, you're going to give it a go. You're going to give everything a go if you're predisposed to that. 5-year-old is throwing multiple tantrums and refuses to get ready in the mornings, evenings. So, okay. Check out my boot camp course because you got a lot going on there. That's not a quick, here's what you do. It's not a quick answer. You want to set yourself up as a leader. I'm guessing it's just because he's in charge or she's in charge. It doesn't say boy or girl. Anyway, it's because they're in charge right now is my guess. Because they're 5 years old, right? So by that time, they should understand that, why are they still throwing tantrums? They have to work. Past the age of about 3 3/4 to 4 years old, they only do what works. So if they're still having tantrums and refusing to get ready, yeah. Just check out the boot camp course. Or at the very least, check out the behavior board. That's completely free. Or you can hire me for coaching, whatever. Genius, I will try that. Is that the wrapping them up in your scent? Yeah, make sure it's got some boob on it if you're breastfeeding. Is that too graphic? You know why I said that. Okay. How long did you breastfeed your babies? I was going to do a year. I hated it, by the way. I hated it. Once I'm sitting down, I'm okay, but I'm kind of hyperactive. So it was the thought of being trapped. I almost got claustrophobia every time I had to breastfeed. And I did my son till he was 10 months old, and he was bringing the nipple with him. He liked to look around while he was feeding, whereas my daughter would just cuddle in and look at me the whole time. She was easy. But he weaned himself because as soon as I gave him the bottle, I think I expressed initially because I still wanted him to have breast milk. for, I don't know if he needed it, but anyway. So then I gave him a bottle. He could not have been happier. He loved it. He would be looking around, and I put him in his crib, and he'd be looking around. He was happy as anything. So, and he wasn't a real cuddler type, whereas my daughter, oh my God, I couldn't get rid of her up there. She would have gone forever. I weaned her at 14 months. And I always said to her, once you're up and walking, not that she understood, but I always said, once you're up and walking, no more boobies. So I swear she didn't walk till she was 14 months old just because she wanted the boob. But anyway, as soon as she was up and walking, that was it. I cut her off. Said, no more. I just didn't like it. I only did it for them. And I had enough bonding with them. I didn't need that to bond with my kids. I love mothering. But yeah, just the feeling of being trapped. I can remember that. I can remember that feeling. Like, oh God, I have to sit down. And they were both really fast feeders, especially my son. He was like 2 or 3 minutes on each side, done. My daughter she just liked it. So she would have probably been more like 5 minutes on each side. They were really fast feeders. Thank God. I got a really cute story, but it's too graphic. It's about breastfeeding my daughter. Sorry, it's too graphic, but I just remembered it. I won't tell it here because there could be men on here. It's just a bit awkward. Okay. Now, what are reasonable consequences for a 7-year-old that doesn't want to do chores if he doesn't really play PlayStation? Okay, so that you're asking me because you've got no leverage, right? So you put down, okay, so 7-year-old that doesn't want to do chores. Well, who cares if he wants to or not? You got to do what you need to do before you can do what you want to do. I taught my kids that when they were little. A really good way to do that. I've got like 4 or 5 different ways, but I'll just mention one. One good way to do that. I just did a video on this on TikTok. It's how to get kids to do what you want without asking. And it's called the as soon as method. So if I waited, if my kids hadn't done their chores or I wanted them to do something, I would just wait. As soon as they said, Mom, can we go outside or can we go to the park? I'd say, sure, as soon as you've done your chores. And they'd race around doing their chores and then they'd go outside. So I always use the as soon as method. Give that a go, but you got to wait it out. And what that taught my kids was they knew that they had to do what they needed to do before they can do what they want to do. Okay. I just got another message. I know I haven't answered my emails yet. I usually do it once a day and I'm doing it at 1:30 today. So I've got a couple messages here. I guess people know I'm on here now. So they're like, why aren't you answering my emails? I'm sorry. I just, I do this and then I'm going to do the emails. So sorry about that. I do my emails every day. I just don't do it at the same time every day. 2.5-year-old boy yells until his face is red when things, it's almost like I feel like I've been caught out. Like, like I'm cheating on them. Instead of answering emails, I'm talking to you. I almost feel kind of guilty. It's funny. I'm busy. I've been busy all morning. I'm talking to parents, coaching, right? Okay, 2.5-year-old boy yells until his face is red when things happen he doesn't like. Being pushed, aggressive character on TV, blocks breaking. How to help him cope better with these disappointments. Well, is he having a tantrum? Like, I don't quite understand. He yells until his face is red when things don't go his way. He yells until his face is red. I could go in a lot of different directions with this. Does he have a full-blown tantrum or he just yells when you're there and then you come and rescue him? You feed it, in other words. I'm not too sure what's going on there. Maybe you could clarify that. I'll try and remember your name, Nicole Clark. Okay. No one talks about the trapped feeling. Breastfeeding, yeah, I hated it. It's just everyone's different, right? I love mothering and I did breastfeed. But every time I had to, it was like, oh, geez. Once I was sitting down with them, I was great. But it was the feeling of being trapped. I hated being pregnant. I was really sick and I had all sorts of health problems. And then I hated breastfeeding. But you'd think I'm so maternal. I loved everything else. Piece of cake. Those are 2 things I didn't like. And I had no postpartum or anything. I loved it all. Okay, except the breastfeeding. And like I said, even once I was sitting there, I liked it. Okay, he just starts crying and then he does eventually after 20 to 30 minutes. And then he does eventually. He just starts crying and then he eventually has a tantrum. Oh, wait a minute, is this someone else now? That's someone different. Yeah, that's someone different. Sorry. We are reasonable consequence for a 7-year-old that doesn't want to do chores. Oh, if he doesn't really play PlayStation. Oh, okay, that one. Okay, let me see here. He just starts crying and then he does it eventually after 20 or 30 minutes. You know what I might do if it's, and he's 7. Okay, he's old enough to, was he 7? Shoot, sorry. I got all my things mixed up here. 7-year-old. Oh, yeah, yeah. Okay, he's 7 years old. I would use the behavior board. That's completely free. Check out the description or the link somewhere anyway. Check that out. And you put down, do chores within 20 minutes of being asked to do so. And then you start a timer. So you look at the timer and you say, okay, so 20 minutes from now, you have to finish your chores. Also, make them reasonable and doable. Like, don't make it like a ridiculous chore, like detail my car or something like that. Make sure that they're fair and reasonable. And I was very, I love cleaning. I didn't want my kids cleaning, but I did want them picking up after themselves. So they never left a mess behind. And there was no food around the house or anything. Like, I wouldn't have allowed that. No shoes in the house. So we were more into preventative. We never made a mess, really. The kids would have all their toys out playing, but then I'd say, sure, if you want to watch TV, just put your toys away. You know, as soon as you put your toys away, that kind of thing. So, but yeah, I would put on the behavior board a time limit when he has to have them done. Now he's 7 years old. I'm wondering, why is he crying? Why is it such a big drama doing his chores? I'm wondering, why would that be? What's the payoff? Because they only do what works at past the age of about 4. I'm wondering what the payoff. Why would he do that? I'd want to assess. If you want to work with me, I could assess it, but you might not need that. But I'm just curious why he would be doing that. It just doesn't add up to me. There's something else going on. Okay, so this is back Nicole. Just yells super loud until his veins pop. So this is a 5-year-old who, when things don't go his own way, he starts to scream. Like so loud, he appears super aggressive, but actually never hits. I find it embarrassing when he's playing with friends. Yeah, now he's 5. The payoff is, you said you find it embarrassing. I might just take him with me and I'll say, look, the 2 of us are just going to go in the other room for a couple minutes or something. It's not timeout when you're with them, by the way. Timeout is when they go off alone. You think about what you did. So yeah, timeout is the pool story. Timeout is the opposite of the pool story. The pool story is that kid I took out of the pool, but he was sitting beside me and I'm bonding with him. I'm connecting with him. Yeah, if you're embarrassed by that, but yeah, I don't know exactly, because I don't know what kind of parent you are. I'm suggesting you're feeding it for sure, because there has to be a payoff for that. There just has to be. You give in just to shut them up, kind of thing. You know, I'm guessing that's what happens. If you do that, it'll keep going till he's 15. I mean, you know, it never ends if you don't just sort of take a hard line with that stuff. Okay. How to encourage 2.5-year-old to not hurt his 6-month-old sister. He wants to push on her back, sit on her, push her head down. Okay, 6-month-old. Okay, this is, you're not going to like my answer, but you can't expect a 2.5-year-old to be responsible with a baby. It's too much of an ask. They're only 2.5 years old. You just have to keep them separate or supervise when they're together. That's all you can do. That's it. You can't reason with them. Like, you shouldn't hurt your sister. Those are the therapy sessions that I hate so much. They're about consistent corrective actions. Every time he hurts his little sister, say no, and you take a toy away or pick her up and fuss over her, or he has to learn. Yeah, but you can't expect him to know that, or you can't rush the learning. It's just going to take a while. But yeah, he's finding his power with that. It's bothering you. It's making her upset potentially. You said she's not crying, but he could really hurt her one day. So you just have to protect her. Just yell super loud until okay, sorry. Oh, I'm going to skip ahead here. Bum, 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 bum. By the way, I've got 3 emails now. People know I'm on here, so they said, why haven't you answered my emails? I'm assuming that's what people are doing. But anyway, I've got my email open. I'm going to be answering my emails at 1:30 today. I've been busy working all morning and like with coaching. So I've had appointments all morning, and then I've got most of the afternoon off. So I'll be to answer emails and do other things and do some filming. So yeah. It's funny. I always feel like I'm caught or something. Every time I'm on a live, someone will say to me, oh, you haven't got this done, or you haven't got. It's like, because they know I'm on here, like, because they know it's live. Yeah. Why do I feel like I got my hand caught in a cookie jar? It's not like I'm sitting here doing nothing. I'm answering questions. Okay, I need more ideas for consequences for 11 and 13. It's usually chores. It's almost always chores. And don't get caught up in, well, we don't want to make chores negative. Chores aren't supposed to be fun. Like, you're not trying to make chores fun. That's that not old fashioned. It's the last 30 years, though. The pleaser parent style. How do we make everything easy and wonderful for our children? And you don't. You don't want to roll out the red carpet for your children because then they're going to get a job one day and they're going to go, no, I don't like doing that. My mom wouldn't want me to do that, or my daddy wouldn't want me doing that. You raise that entitled lazy, like that self-entitled snowflakes with mental health issues. Yeah, you don't want to go down that path. So yeah, chores, it's okay to make chores a negative, and they got to do them if they break a rule. You always have two consequences for the kids. The first one is a positive action. If they won't do it, then you resort to the negative deprivation. There's always some leverage. You can always take something away. If you don't have any leverage, sometimes that happens. It's happened more in the last couple of weeks, I'd say, than it usually happens all year with clients. Anyway, you invent leverage. I don't like doing it. I won't go into it here. But yeah, you have to invent leverage if you don't have any. It's rare, but every so often the parents say, we've got no leverage. They don't watch screens. They don't care about any toys, nothing. And you can't take love away. Like, you don't take a favorite blanket away, or a favorite, you don't take anything that's comforting away, and you don't ground them. You never take away social stuff, athletic, healthy stuff, or anything comforting. You don't take love away, or social stuff, or sports that's healthy. Like, I had a client a while back, and I don't know what sport it was. It doesn't matter. Anyway, and the punishment for this teenager was they couldn't play hockey or something for a whole month. And I said, nah, put them back. Apologize for that. You're going to have to make amends for doing that because that was a big mistake. They didn't know that, but I said, you have to apologize for that and give them something. And I don't want to tell you what they ended up giving them. It was something really big, actually. A lot of people have a lot of money, and it was something really big to make it up to them. And I said, well, you didn't have to give them that much. But anyway, so yeah, they had to make amends because they went overboard. You mess up with your kids, own it and say, sorry about that. What can I do to make it up to you? It's like that time with my son. Geez, he was 8 years old, and he was into the PlayStation. And so was I. I liked Crash Bandicoot. It's the only game I could play. He had a racing game. So he goes to bed on a Saturday night, and my husband and I are playing Crash Bandicoot. So I say, you always want to save your levels, right? So I saved my level, and my husband said, you know what you just did? And I said, what? Stupid me. I said, what? And he goes, on the memory card, he says, you just saved over his game. I said, no, I didn't. And he goes, find it. We only had one memory card. I saved over my son's game. He'd worked for weeks to get up to this level. And I thought, oh my God, no, he was so vested in this. So Sunday morning, I heard him starting to wake up in the morning, and I went in there and I said, sweetie, I got some bad news for you. And he goes, what? And I said, your memory card, and you saved all the, he knew right away. And he starts to go, like, have a fit. He starts to go, and I said, I'm sorry I did that. I'm going to buy you a brand new PlayStation game. Whew, to make up for it. And he went like this. Oh, okay. And then I bought myself a new memory card. He got a brand new game out of that. And then the joke got to be that every time I'd go to save my game, he'd try and sneak his memory card in to get another free game. so it got to be a joke. I said, if you sneak that in there, then you don't get another game anyway. But yeah, you got to make amends if you mess up with your kids. We all do. We're all going to mess up with our kids. There was the old Roseanne show back in the 80s, I think it was. God, it was so funny because it was just so real. And she said, someone asked her something about parenting, and she goes, we're all going to mess up our kids. It's just to what level are we going to mess them up? Like, you can have 20 kids and 19 of them might turn out perfect, but one will turn out completely messed up just because you didn't give them what they needed specifically. So we're all going to make mistakes. That's part, life's messy. Parenting's messy. So you just try and eliminate the amount of mistakes you make. You try and get it semi-right. But also, I actually don't think that trying to set yourself up as perfect is a good way to do it. That's the old-fashioned authority style parenting. I think that's kind of dumb because then they're going to grow up feeling inferior. Well, my parents knew everything. No, they didn't. I always told my kids, I don't know anything. So I'm just figuring it out like you are. And let's figure it out together. So I never set myself up as that. I was very much the leader, but I never set myself up as a know-it-all. I don't think you should. I love your ideas. My son is 2.5 years old and he screams and throws tantrums. I don't know if he is scared or just want me near him. When I come to him, he push back and call me. What should I do? Okay, he's just having tantrums. I do have a tantrum busting course if you're interested, but you just ignore tantrums. When a kid's having a tantrum, I'm just standing beside them filing my nails. Like I don't even notice, like I'm waiting for a bus. As soon as they finish, I go, oh, you all done? Do you want to go read a book or something? So I ignore the crazy, reward the calm. When they're not used to you doing that, they're going to get worse before they get better because they're going to remember the old you that was feeding it. Any attention is tantrum food. So they're watching you. You ignore it, but don't go on your phone. Don't have a conversation with someone. I think that's really dismissive and rude. I want them to know I'm just waiting. Like I'm filing my nails. I'm waiting for a bus. As soon as they're done with the tantrum, oh, you all done? You want to go to the park? Or do you want to do, then you interact with them. They eventually learn. They're not going to learn the first time, though. It's going to get worse before it gets better because they remember the old you. I don't feel like telling this story right now, but which one was it? The mall story was a good one with my son. That's actually a quick one. I've been on here for about half an hour. I should. Oh, it's been 35 minutes. I'm going to go because I'm going to answer my emails now. I got several emails telling me they know I'm on the live, so they emailed me saying I haven't answered their emails yet. So I've been caught out. But yeah, I had to do the live. But anyway, so yeah, I'm going to go answer my emails now. So thanks so much for joining me, and I'll be back again. I'll be tonight. I'll be doing my Instagram and my TikTok lives. And it's kind of easier if I break them up a little bit because my voice starts to go after an hour. Usually I do 90 minutes of lives, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, but today I broke it up a little bit. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me, and check out my link for my courses, my free behavior board, and my coaching if you're interested. So thanks so much, and we'll talk again soon. Bye now. And YouTube. Oh, Haley, you're asking me on YouTube. I don't know if you're still there or not. But anyway, 4-year-old boy, you watch him. I don't discuss babysitting or nannying or teaching. I only discuss parenting because if I tell you what to do and the parents don't like it, it's kind of not good. Get it? Anyway, sorry about that. But yeah, I only talk about parenting.